Hey there, welcome to the program. So, what technologies can you think of that we've seen over the past 30 years that has disrupted the status quo and has become the new normal? I can think of a few. When it comes to looking into the future, predicting how the technology is going to be used at that time, and then go back to current reality and build a business that's based on that prediction, is what my friend Matt Hoffman is doing with Hobby Cartel. Is this true?
This is true.
So I can think of a couple things that disrupted status quo in my time. I'm a Gen Xer. When audio cassette tapes and VCRs came out. So you were part of that a little bit?
Yeah, I remember the first Disney movie I ever owned.
Yeah.
It was a beta tape.
Oh, Betamax.
Well, my parents owned, yeah. Betamax, then went to VHS, but those are worth a lot of money now.
They are?
Collectibles.
But so for back then, it was like the people who made the movies and the programming were all fearful it's going to ruin the industry. I made my own tapes. Well, technically that was illegal, what I did. I used it for me, and if I would have made that tape and duplicated it and sold it, then I get in trouble.
I think it said something like a $250,000 fine.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a big warning on the front of...
At the front of every movie, right?
That's right.
So that would be one disruption. And the second one that came to mind was Napster.
That was a big one. That was high school for me.
Okay.
Yeah, so I remember, leaving for school in the morning, come back at the end of the day, one song downloaded. But, all of a sudden you've got files of music on your computer. All you needed was a device to be able to take those somewhere.
Yeah, and how kind of clunky it felt at the time. Like, okay, I got this one going, and that whole platform. And like you said, you go, wow, it finished downloading from some guy in who knows where.
Exactly.
Peer-to-peer.
Peer-to-peer.
And so that was kind of dangerous. Like, okay, or does that mean...
What are you going to get?
What am I going to get? Am I going to get hacked? But we didn't know. We didn't care. It just happened. The need really took over whether it was right or wrong.
I mean, there's...
Good or bad?
Good or bad, you're thinking about, I just remember with tapes, right? You go to the video store, you get a tape, be kind, please rewind. So that was always on the front of it. There's fees associated
for rewinding your tape.
If you didn't rewind.
Oh yeah.
Right? Go back like, what is this? You can't return them that way. And then you look at, well, now all of a sudden I can jump to any part of the movie I want to be able to see with a compact disc. It adds a level of, digitization, if you will, to the movie experience. And with Napster, the market is driving, say, hey, I want accessibility to music. How do I, put in music onto my computer? And then, I can't take my PC at that time anyway. You couldn't carry it around with you.
Right.
But eventually you had
the iPod came out.
There you go. That's
right?
exactly right. Now you can take all those songs in your pocket.
Now you have iHeartRadio, you have Amazon, all the baked in monthly fees that we pay for Amazon gives us all the music we want.
Convenience, right? But the big players in this space initially, let's just have put the legal conversation aside and say the big players in this space had a certain way they were operating at that time. This disrupted that. It always faces friction. But ultimately, you look at what spawned from Napster today.
Yeah.
Right? All the different type of music sharing services that are out there, streaming services. I remember when Netflix went from shipping DVDs, right, in the mail, or Blu-rays even, right? And now they are offering just a complete streaming service or a balance of both initially, right?
Right.
You could balance the physical DVD and some of the streaming services. Now, I think most just have the streaming service, correct? I think they even sunset that. I don't know exactly.
It's funny. I think my mother-in-law, it's my Aunt Mary, if you're watching. I think she's the one who says, I still get DVDs mailed from Netflix. But I'm sure she's like the 1%.
Well, it's typically called laggards in the tech space. Those that are the last to adopt certain things.
Yeah.
That's the case. And to each their own, right? But she knows this is how it works.
Right.
When she gets it, she knows that process. Doesn't have to learn anything new.
Right.
Okay, it works for her.
But it's a new normal, and it's really kind of strange for me to think about because I'm just now finally getting used to queuing up music here in the studio when I'm working, setting stuff up. I tell who, I can't say her name, but I can tell her to play the music for me and what kind of music, and boom, it's happening.
She's good at her job.
Right. She's really good at her job. She
consistent.
Yes, consistent. But honestly, I mean, I'm still not like, it's not like the back of my hand. I'm just like, oh, wait a minute. What if I want to change the volume? I don't want to walk over there and do that. And I don't want to say, hey, could you turn the volume down? I'd love to be able to have, so I'm still figuring out the best way to do that because it's using my phone, I think. But so there's still some progression to go. My point being is that it is now the way people know how to listen to music, watch programming. The thing that when I researched your company and I did some research about blockchain, NFTs, grading, because we're going to talk about some of this.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I'm thinking, what in the world is this? And it made me think of Napster. It made me think this is a disruption. The way we transfer money right now is done. I mean, I paid our lawn guy through Venmo and boom. Oh, which account do you want to go from? That's the cool.
It was convenient.
It's very convenient.
Right.
But then you start, when Bitcoin came out, everybody's like, I don't know about that. Now that's going a little too far. Some people were. Other people were saying, this is the way that people are going to start buying and selling things in the next, for sure in the next 50 years, but probably within the next 20. And you're thinking, no way.
Notion of a global currency, and the practical applications that you could utilize something like that for the benefits of it, were obvious to those that were at the inception of the idea, right, spearheading it. But even then, early stage Bitcoin, it had a long way to go before mainstream.
Would you say that Bitcoin was like the Napster? Is like the Napster of its time?
I would say that cryptocurrency, which
not necessarily
an outcome of blockchain technology, is definitely the catalyst for disrupting and will be future state a lot of industries as we know it today.
You think you're confident that it's happening? It's already.
I will go on record and say that is my bet. I've got all my chips in on that very fact.
Okay.
This is facilitates like Ethereum. As I said to you before, it's the future operating system of the world, right? Not as the cryptocurrency, but as the technology. Ethereum.
Which is another currency, cryptocurrency.
It is.
Like Bitcoin.
There are lots of them out there.
And the
NFTs, non-fungible token.
Thank you.
An NFT, it's a component of the technology, with blockchain that allows for you to be able to prove ownership of something on the internet. Let's just talk about it like that.
Okay.
We'll say the technical jargon.
Sure.
We'll say that allows you to be able to prove verification, authenticity, and ownership of something on the internet. And that is very, very valuable.
So, perfect. So let's talk about Hobby Cartel. What's the problem you're solving? Who's your client base?
Thank you for asking. And again, thank you for having me. So Hobby Cartel today is a community. And it's a community, I would say, because we're working with other passionate hobbyists. If you've been in the hobby space for however long you've been, let's just say, I started collecting cards when I was 6 years old, very meticulous in my card collection. I got out of the space for a while. I've got back into it in the last couple of years. Collectibles, trading cards, these are speculative, right? And what you have, and you're starting to be able to see today, is that there's a lot of traditionalists that say this is the way that the hobby industry has been for some time. You can sell cards on eBay. But a lot of the fun is going to the shows. And you've got all the tables. And if you've ever been to a card show, it can be a pretty overwhelming experience, but it's very, very exciting. And you're interfacing with professional hobbyists, right, at their table who know this industry like the back of their hand. And the card show here in Dallas this past weekend is 600 tables. 600 tables.
These are actual hobbyists?
Yes, they are displaying, and they're there with their trading cards or collectibles, that are there for purchase or showing.
For trade,
right?
buy or sell, trade.
And to go through that, you need every bit of 3 days if you wanted to be able to kind of visit every single table. And, what I've started to be able to see is that this is a largely still speculative marketplace. Where
the trading card.
Yeah, trading cards in general, right? A Trevor Lawrence to a Jaguar fan like myself, very valuable. Love this guy, right? Maybe I would pay a premium for a really rare card there, but perhaps someone who doesn't even care about football as a sport doesn't see the same value. So, what I'm starting to see is that they're, to increase accessibility and participation of an industry like the hobby, which I'm very passionate about, technology would be the conduit that would facilitate, if I can't go to the card show, or if I wanted to look for specific types of cards, can you create a convenient way with which I could access that?
Really? So it's taking the physical, going to a physical place, looking at physical cards, and like you said, there's 600 tables is quite a lot. So I'm sure there's trading cards, comic books, a lot of hobby in that realm. Is that the kind of category?
That's exactly right. And we are at the intersection of physical trading cards and digital collectibles, and the convergence of that is what we're working with our community right now to be able to figure out what the future will look like.
So how does it? Tell me the process. I'm a hobbyist. I've got a collection I've been trading and selling, and I've got my own personal favorites.
Great. I'll sign you up after the show.
Oh, there you go. Well, that was a hypothetical. I'm pretending. And so I have got this. I've got them graded. I have them ready for display. I've got them in boxes. What do I do?
Sure. So, well, first, you got to know what you have. Right. So you could spend all of the time to go through and sort everything out and find out, hey, this is a named athlete. This is a Michael Jordan. I know that could potentially have some value. Or you could say, I don't have the time to do that. That's why it's been sitting in my closet for the last X amount of time. Right. And so you could send that into the Hobby Cartel, and we can go through and we can index all of your supply. We can tell you any assets that you have there that might be worth consideration for pre-grading, and then taking it the next step of either, grading it for your personal collection and or selling it on the open market.
So that's kind of, I guess, maybe one sector type of person. I've got a box, not sure what it's worth, but then there's also the active hobbyist, the one who knows what
they know what it's worth. Exactly right.
Why would they come to you?
Well, they would come because they are at a scenario where most of them who have that 6-foot table at the show can only fit a certain amount of slabs or cards on that table. They have a lot more supply, either in their store, stored underneath the table, sure, wherever it might be.
Yeah.
And so this is where I believe that the intersection of digital really starts to present itself. It's an opportunity to say, hey, all the other cards that you have that are not on display, I'd like to know what those are too. And if I were to show up to a trade show with 600 tables, but I was looking for a very specific athlete, I would love to know which tables had those cards. Because I would love to go through the gauntlet of 8 hours, and I love doing that. Right,
I mean, a lot of people
that is a traditional kind of, it's an experience. It's fun. Some people don't have that kind of time, right. And so we want to open up accessibility and participation, convenience of getting to, okay, these are the cards, this is the athletes that I'm looking for. I can go specifically to those tables and find that directly. Maybe I'd be more apt to do that, or maybe I would even leave a happier customer because I could go right to that as opposed to only be able to make it through half the showcase and then not find what I'm looking for. There's been a limited number of marketplaces. I mean, really eBay. eBay thus far has been the only real marketplace outside of a couple auction houses, right? That you are buying trading cards, in this format, whether graded or raw. And we have to be able to have a way where we can empower the local hobby shop to be able to have their supply online too that's accessible. I can see exactly what's at the shop. I don't necessarily have to go into the storefront to be able to do that. There's a lot of work involved in that, but this is where we're working with these professional hobbyists to be able to figure out what's this intersection look like. Is it online booking or online purchasing and a checkout of these cards first? Is it taking the next step with NFTs perhaps, and the interoperability of that? I think that there's some speculation around what the future is going to look like, but it's definitely coming. And so we want to be able to work with those that have been living in this space thus far, that know it inside and out, to be able to determine what are the next steps to be able to gradually move in that direction and hopefully increase participation of the hobby for a lot more people that aren't involved in it today. First, you got to recognize that the technology today, setting up like a crypto wallet, for example, and just while those barriers are still a little higher than we'd probably like them to be for people that are kind of just getting into the idea of having a crypto wallet and what that can do for you. It stores digital assets essentially. You've got a scenario where today you've got a graded, say PSA 10, Michael Jordan. And once it's been graded and it's at that point, like that's really the end of the line in terms of the journey of that trading card.
Okay.
What the NFT does is it opens up a door into the digital realm.
And the NFT is an identifiable, tell me what it is and how and what it means.
Yeah, so that non-fungible token essentially means that now you can take this physical card, you can create a digital companion of that card, but they're linked together. And so now if I had, for example, one use case would be, this is a $10,000 trading card, PSA 10, let's go unnamed, but there's only a certain number of collectors in the world that can afford a $10,000 PSA 10 trading card, right? So if there's a digital companion of this, perhaps I could then sell fractions of that where other collectors could have a digital representation of that in their showcase where they might not own the entire card, but it'd still be pretty cool to show their friends, for example, that they have that Michael Jordan as part of their personal collection. And this is
now you're talking about it's a stock, right?
Yeah, it's been definitely taken into that scenario where, could I have, if you were a collector and you've got, that Mickey Mantle rookie card, that has value, absolutely. And you could sell that to those that know and understand the value and get cash for it today.
Maybe you want some liquidity out of that. Man, I could sure use
if it was
money.
A gold bar in a bank account. You could go use that as an asset as leverage against a mortgage, for example. During that process, you absolutely could, but you couldn't for your trading card.
But
I think that could change.
That's where you think when I talked about earlier, going into the future and seeing that's
right. It's alternative asset that's, while still speculative, if the right conditions are been met, it opens up the interoperability of the value of the asset.
Your site, it's Hobby Cartel shop.com. Is some of it kind of social media oriented where
everything's around the Discord, right? Discord is very transparent. It allows all the collectors to be able to communicate, to discuss, whether it be challenges around grading companies, challenges around, different assets and trading cards, bad practices that might be happening in the space. Whatever the case may be, all is accepted and talked about. All are welcome in the Discord, absolutely, because we're just trying to figure out, there are a lot of barriers to even saying, hey, I've got a physical storefront and I want people to come into my shop. I understand that, absolutely. But after your shop closes, it would be also great to be able to know that you can continue to transact while your store is closed.
Sure.
How do you get there?
After hours.
After hours. That's exactly right.
It's still working for you.
So if you even take, just blockchain out of the equation and what NFTs are, let's just say, can we help accessibility of the supply online first with the professional hobbyist who understands the value of integrity, treats cards like it was for their own personal collection, right? And is very transparent about processes. I've seen mostly that in the space, right? The true professional hobbyist is very, very passionate about what they're doing. And, unfortunately, you see some bad practices out there overshadow a lot of genuine good in the hobby community.
I'm sure. Now, we were talking kind of about the barriers to entry for kind of people who don't understand blockchain NFTs, but there's also a section that are very hip to this and could instantly associate what you're doing.
Well said. Yeah, you look at, so I'm a millennial, and you look at Gen Z, and I, one of the gentlemen who was here for one of our presentations a couple of weeks ago, he said, why are you so certain that the digital element is going to be a play? And I said, well, it's generational, right? So as a millennial, I'm definitely at this sort of intersection of I like to hold the physical card in my hand. I like to see that I have that, but I also understand the value of what a digital representation of that, if I owned it, could mean for me on the online world, whether it be in a marketplace or trading or NFT marketplaces. Gen Z, is definitely a group that is very focused digitally. And you look at a scenario where if we're playing a video game, we use that as the use case.
Yep.
I'm buying skins for my guns in a first-person shooter like Call of Duty, right? I'm buying outfits for characters. I'm using real money to purchase a digital thing
that you can't touch.
That's not tangible.
Yeah.
But I like it because it looks cool on my guy, on my character, and I'm playing with it in the same way that digital collectibles will take shape, definitely generational. But if you had a scenario where I have my collection that I can showcase, Instagram, things of this nature, but also can then bring in very high value cards too, it allows for participation and liquidity and moving of these assets to be more adoptable, right? Easier to access.
So what's different about Hobby Cartel from eBay?
Well, I would say the first thing that would be different is that today you have your trading cards and they can be stored in your home. They can be stored at your office, wherever you keep them. But largely, most are not on display to be viewed continuously. And if you were able to take those and say, I have them in a bank vault somewhere where they're secured by a third party, Now all of a sudden, I've got a lot of additional options available. And so what we want to be able to do is to say, hey, if you're someone that just wants to store them somewhere, if you're someone that wants to be able to say, I want to be at the forefront of this value that's manifesting itself in the hobby community as this sort of digital revolution is underway, then I've already got my assets in a position to be able to take advantage of that, and we're a company that can help extend that journey.
I see.
So Rareable is an NFT marketplace. It is definitely what I would say is the people's marketplace for creators today, and it is absolutely a place where you could go on, you could find a digital version of a physical trading card that's graded and stored in our vault, and you could use Ethereum to be able to purchase that digital collectible. After the purchase, it kicks off a process whereby you can receive the physical card as well, or you could keep the physical card in your wallet but keep the digital version of that in your online collection.
So they're doing that, but they don't sell just trading cards. They do, like you
it's
said,
all
artists.
Art. There's anything, tons of creative. It could be everything from collectibles to artwork to virtual worlds. It started there because this is a community of professionals that up until this point before the technology had a hard time substantiating or proving ownership of something digital. Like I could take a picture of that you created and I could represent it. And how would you prove that you were the actual original owner of that?
So they solve some of those problems.
It does solve that problem. For creators, or anyone who wants to be able to prove ownership of a digital asset, this facilitates the way to be able to do that. And after you've created that and you maybe sell it to somebody else, you still are the creator of that asset originally, and it will always be on the digital footprint, if you will, the metadata of that creator.
That's that blockchain thing.
So even if it sells again and again and again, you were the one who gets credit for the original creation of that, and that is very, very powerful. Imagine a scenario where if it was all substantiated and verified through blockchain, you could actually trade online with somebody around the world who you've never met before, but I could take an asset that was, say, worth 1,000 in USD, and I could trade that for maybe receiving two assets that are worth 500 each in return from another collector. And because it's all verified, it allows for this transaction to be able to occur in a seamless way.
That's interesting. Well, if you or someone has a collection of trading cards and wants to get them ready for online trading or selling, definitely give Matt a shout, right?
Absolutely. Or at least if you want to know what the value is that you actually have, we can definitely help you with that. Or if you just have some opinions around, what the digital collectible space is going to look like, and you want to participate in the conversation, we'd love to be able to have you join the community. We're here to be able to expand on anything and everything that is the hobby at the intersection of physical and digital.
Awesome. And the URL is?
hobbycartelshop.com, and that will take you to our current page where then you can access our Discord community.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks, man.
All right. Thank you very much.
You bet, man. And y'all check him out. I'm impressed, and I think you will be too. So
thank you.